Не вылезаем в кадр, да? Угу.
Добрый день. Здравствуйте всем. Сегодня у нас в гостях Петр Степичев и Ольга Степичева. Рада их приветствовать. Немного расскажу про наших спикеров. Петр – исполнительный директор NATE, вице-президент MELTA, преподаватель и автор. Его запатентованный инструмент «Грамматический куб» и серия настольных игр завоевали признание в конкурсе «Учитель года» в 2012 году, в результате получивший стипендию для обучения в Англии и Германии. И этот опыт, а также участие в программе IPV 2014 в США позволяет ведущему поделиться множеством практических идей для урока для учителей, жаждущих новых подходов и нетрадиционных методов обучения. И Ольга Степичева, член NATE, учитель английского языка и автор игры Vocabulary Puzzle. Итак, дорогие друзья, да, готовы вас слушать с превеликим удовольствием.
Thank you so much. Dear colleagues, this one, yeah. Oh my goodness, I should press this to work. No.
Так, у нас возникли некоторые неполадки, видимо. Сейчас мы подождем немножечко наших спикеров. Не уходите. Да, коллеги, возникли неполадки. Оставайтесь с нами. Я думаю, что в течение пары минут мы решим эти сложности и начнем нашу трансляцию.
Стройка. Лайвкэм, правильно, микрофон, динамики.
Петр, мы вас слышим. Да, Ольга.
Меня, да?
Мы вас слышим, да, но не видим.
Да, я не могу понять, почему. Вроде все было хорошо же. Да, сейчас.
Все в порядке, не переживайте. Главное, что мы на связи.
Вот лайвкэм. Вот микрофон. Это все одно и то же. Одно и то же устройство, вот оно горит. Вот, Microsoft Livecam Studio. Вот она. Вот это есть камера, которая работает. Может, я что-то не то здесь нажимаю, что-то мне нужно...
Петр, посмотрите, вверху Hangouts есть несколько кнопок, 6 кнопок. Там есть микрофон и есть камера. Может быть, камера выключилась каким-то образом. Там есть значок камеры, если вы на него кликните.
О,
вот. Ура.
Вот. Так. Вот, мы появились, и нас... А я его включил-выключил. Так, отлично. И видно, и слышно, да?
Да, все прекрасно. Можем начинать.
Да-да. А я буду в маленьком углу или на экран на весь?
Вы будете на экране на всем.
Хорошо, спасибо. Все, отлично, я вижу. So, good afternoon again. Today we have a really interesting topic because we're going to show a few ways to surprise our students. It's very important to make our lessons more emotionally charged, because that is a direct way to real involvement in learning. And surprise is a cognitive emotion, and that's why we can build on this emotion and get in results motivation, interest, and effectiveness. I'll show you a few things that I use at the lesson to surprise our students, and then I'll show you how we do it, actually, what we do with these things at the lesson to surprise our students. And in the second part of our stream, we can discuss probably even more ways to surprise students, because every teacher, in my opinion, is a magician, and we have lots of ways to motivate our students, and it's very important to share this experience and to well, to build up our experience based on the experience of others. Here are some objects that I use to surprise students at the lesson. That's a mug, Fanta, a packet, napkins, this stuff, red one, this one. I do it at any level. Actually, I choose the instrument according to the situation. I look at the level of my students, at the age of my students, and so does my wife, my partner, and my friend, Olga Stepicheva, who teaches at school. I'll show you a few ways how I do it. Why I choose not textbooks today, why I don't show work books and materials in a traditional way. Because the easiest way to surprise students is to demonstrate something that does not belong to the lesson. This object itself arouses attention and interest, because students do not expect me to have this like Phantom Mirinda bottle at the lesson, and they pay more attention because they don't understand how it can be connected, the lesson and this object that we bring. Let me start with this example, actually, the grammar mug. These two things go together. I take this mug and I put a sticker on it. It is a sticker that I produce, but it can be any, well, it can be any sticker. You can do it with a marker, actually. So the whole thing is to show the idea, how it works. I open. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. While I'm doing it, students usually watch me carefully because they never know what to expect from me. So I start pouring water here. I choose Phantom Mirinda because it is bright. You can also use milk, but with milk you will not get this psh sound. And with Fanta you get the sound, and students look at you even with more attention. When I have this level, it is an imperative sentence. Help, read, play, eat. It's imperative. Add more Fanta, and we have affirmative. They help, I read, you eat, and so on and so forth. By the way, this kind of thing is limitless. You can do it online and you can do it offline. Actually, I do the same with my Skype students, and it works the same way. That is a general question. Will they read? So you can use it differently. You can read it word after word, or you can read it like in a chaotic order, but you should take one word from each level. So one word from this level, do, did, or will, one word from the level of subjects, and one word from the level of predicates. And that is a general question, and that is a special question. Where did you read? How do you speak? Why do you play? And so on and so forth. It is an important thing, not just because students pay attention to what you're doing. You can definitely do it in a different way. You can write a table. You can show a table in presentation, PowerPoint presentation. But if you do it this way, students are more attentive usually, because they never know what you do next. So, and you actually pour Fanta, they watch, you pour Fanta again, then watch. And if they don't watch, you can do it like in the reverse order. You can start drinking Fanta, and then you have like special question, then general question, then affirmative, and then imperative. So each step matters. But it's not just the attention that we get the right association. Usually our students skip do, did, any auxiliary verb. In this case, if you skip do, it means that you will have Fanta here, no Fanta here, and you will have Fanta just in the air. Just imagine if do is not highlighted. Just imagine that you don't have an auxiliary. Then it means that you'll have Fanta just in the air. For students who like sentences like do you, like why you eat or why you play, for such students, it is a direct reminder that you should not skip do or did. Because if you skip do or did, you'll go against physics. You will have some Fanta just in the air. So in this, showing the grammar sentence in such a way, you make this association with the object from the reality. And next time, you don't probably need a Fanta or Mirinda. You can just take any mug, and students will remember this association, this image, and they will be better at structuring their sentence. So today, as we have a short presentation, we will have just random interesting activities from around the lesson. We will speak of different types of skills and different segments of the language. The first kind of presentation was about grammar skills and sentence structure. But I also showed you a packet. It can be any packet, not necessarily this one. How can we use it? First of all, when you want to use something unusual, you should not necessarily chase a student with this object trying to teach him or her. What I usually do is I usually put an object on the table before the lesson, and I wait for students to ask a question. That's very important. When students ask a question, it means that they're interested. And everybody who asks a question is usually interested in getting the answer to the question. Because what teachers usually do, they chase students trying to teach them something that they think is important. But it's very important to try to motivate students to ask questions themselves. Then you can make your teaching more effective, because students will be more focused. They asked, they wanted, when they asked, they want an answer. So I put this packet on the table, and then at the lesson, I can do something with it. what I do is lifting this packet in the air. I can lift it in the air with the help of magic. I'm kind of magician. I ask my students, usually when I say students, I mean not only students of university. I think you understand. Well, I have kind of, I used to say pupil more often, but my student, my sister is a biochemist, and she studies in America. And she told me that the word pupil, the only association she has with the word pupil is зрачок глаза. And when listening to different presentations, I noticed that the presenters use the word students when they want to talk of any students, actually, including the younger ones. So the thing I'm going to show you is about the younger ones, definitely. And I ask this, let me say, 8 or 9-year-olds, what is the magic word for летать? What is the magic word for fly? And sometimes, and in many cases, instead of saying fly, they say Wingardium Leviosa. They remember words from Harry Potter. They remember Latin expressions instead of remembering this simple word fly. Because Wingardium Leviosa is part of their magic world. And fly is part of their vocabulary list. So they remember Wingardium Leviosa better than they remember fly. And what I do next is I show my students that fly is something that can really be applicable and can be used for real magic. I take this packet and ask my students to say the word fly, and then I can lift it in the air and it really flies. So you see, I'm not holding it. You might think I use some camera effects or some other things, but believe me, I can do it with the same with the same effect online and offline in any way. I can take any other objects. I can make pencils fly. So that is a pencil, a big one. You say fly, and it is. Yeah, fly pencil, please. Yeah. I can show you how it works actually, but don't tell children. So that is how it works. What segment and what skill do I teach here? I teach, first of all, vocabulary, because I can take any object. It can be a pencil, it can be a packet, it can be a book, a hammer, anything. Yeah, absolutely anything. And then I teach them imperative, because it's usually fly, please. And after that, I see my students doing it themselves, trying this magic, saying fly to different things. As they don't know the secret, they cannot do it usually, but because they try hard, sometimes they can, you see? Just because the children try hard, they can lift it a little bit, and they still think it's success. So it's one more. It's from a different sphere. It's from a different age group, but on the whole, the thing that unites these two tricks is surprise. Surprise the students and then get them motivated. One more thing I play cards with the students, and we will do it together with Olga. Definitely you can play cards, but it's more difficult to play cards online. It's possible, but it needs some extra preparation, extra time. But what is possible to do both online and offline is to do some fortune telling. Fortune telling with the cards is a popular thing in regular cards, and you can do the same with English cards. I take a word from here that my partner doesn't know, and I ask my partner to make word combinations. For example, I take the word, this one. I do not show this word neither to you nor to my partner. And the idea is to tell me what are you going to do, or what do you want to do with this? So my question is, what do you want to do with this noun? So my partner knows that it's a noun, and her task is to make a combination verb plus noun without knowing what noun it is. So what are you going to do with this?
Okay, some verbs, yes?
Yeah, just some verbs.
Okay.
When you work with a group, you get even more ideas, and it's even more interesting, definitely. But together, it's also possible you just take a few ideas from one person instead of taking one idea from each person. So,
okay, let it be count. I want to count it.
You want to count it? So I'll put it down to count.
To count,
I usually register such things. Yeah.
To find it, maybe.
To find. Okay.
And to eat it.
To eat it. Okay. So what verb is it? So we have the verbs. What noun? What noun is it? We have children. So my wife wants to count children, which is natural for a teacher. All teachers count children, especially now if you have a summer camp and if you like take children abroad, you count children all the time. That's something we do quite often. You want to find children, which is also quite normal for a teacher. And you want to eat children, which is not normal for a teacher, but which is quite funny. If you have the children before and make combinations with the children, your combinations might be dull, not so interesting. No one will make a combination eat children, and you will be kind of limited to the word you have. But when you don't see the word, you can make any combinations, and it makes this activity even more interesting and more emotionally charged, because we remember, first of all, things that have emotion and that arouse emotions in us. One more fortune-telling activities. This is a noun. Actually, we can do several things. We can, I can show you this noun and not show it to my wife, for example. No, let me hold it like this. Yeah. Okay. So don't look.
Yeah.
Okay. It's something you can do when you have a camera. Usually,
Right.
online you don't do.
Okay.
So you should tell me adjectives, and this is going to be the way you say it. So you give an adjective, I have a noun, and we have adjective plus noun combination. So what are the adjectives? You will have it.
Okay, maybe unusual.
It will be unusual for you. Unusual.
Unusual. Expensive.
Expensive.
And interesting.
And interesting. That's quite interesting, especially for those who knows. Well, for those participants who looked at the card and who can make this combination together with an adjective and a noun that you have seen. Let's show this card to my wife. So that is weekend. So you will have an unusual weekend.
Cool.
I'm puzzled as a husband. You will have an expensive weekend. Oops.
So typical for women.
Yeah, yeah, like shopping and yeah, stuff like this. And you have an interesting weekend. So all the adjectives are quite appropriate, actually. And this task can be performed with any age group, online and offline, and that is my experience for you. You can try it. I think you'll get great, and your students will get great positive emotions, especially if you choose the words that make funny combinations. A few more things. I showed you in the beginning this napkin. You take it from here. Why do you need it? Why you might need a napkin at the lesson? Well, if you pour Fanta not in the mug, but on the table, you can use a napkin to wipe. But you can use it in a different way. You can ask your students to make a cheat sheet out of this napkin. For example, you have a past simple, I don't know, quiz, yeah? And it includes the structure of the sentence, irregular verbs, and probably some other aspects that past simple may include, depending what you want to test, actually. And you tell your students that it's not unified state exam, that you are not going to stand there with a with a camera or try to find their cheat sheets, cribs. But on the contrary, you give your students some limited, but still large space that they can use to make a cheat sheet for their test. For example, you may take not the whole, but you may take part of it. Oh, sure. Yeah, you may take, like, I don't know, this part of it. You give it to your students. You give it home to your students. And your students may write anything they want. And you promise not to take these cheat sheets from them during the quiz. And then you have a quiz. And your students may use what they have written. And you will witness quite an interesting thing. Some students will use this piece to write all kinds of irregular verbs. Some students will use it to write, I don't know, the structure. Some may copy the rules from the back of the textbook. So students will use it differently. What will it reflect? But to see it, definitely you should take not just the quiz, but ask your students to give you, well, to hand you in the cheat sheets. So what will you see? First of all, you will see what part of the topic is the most challenging for students. If they write irregular verbs, it means that in this segment, irregular verbs is the most difficult for them. So they know about did, they know the word order, but irregular verbs is different. It's difficult. Then you will see which irregular verbs, because it's impossible to write 200 verbs here. You will see the most difficult. And without oppressing your students, you will get the results. You will understand what your students are afraid of in this topic, because that is something they put in their cheat sheets. What else you will see? You will see how students work with information. Because what I see now with my students who are college students, not everybody can really work well with information. Some of you students might just copy the rule, and if they have not enough space, they will just stop. So that will be half of the rule. That will not be helpful to them, but they will understand it just later on. So you will see who of your students use this space rationally, and for whom it really helped at the quiz, and who cannot compress the information or cannot find the right focus. For example, they copy regular verbs, but what they really need and what they really actually lack while writing a quiz is, I don't know, structure, or well, and other aspects. So It is quite an interesting thing. You allow your students to come to the lesson with the cheat sheet, and you learn a lot from it about your students and their awareness of the topic and their actually their ability to work with information. We can do a few more things at the lesson. I'll show you just two more things. Later on in Ulyanovsk, I'll have a wider presentation. We'll play the real games, but I chose something that is easier to show, and you can use it because it's valuable. It's the red one. It is. So this stuff, you can buy it in the gift shop. You probably know it from well, some experience. Some people saw it in the well, in the museum of, like, an interactive museum that I don't remember the name, but they have several such toys there. Some colleagues told me they bought this kind of stuff in the gift shops. So it's quite valuable in different cities, but usually children use it just to play like that, to make their hands and make their face. But you can use it at the lesson. For example, I can put something here and ask my partner to guess what I have. So again, I'll use a blindfolder and ask my partner to close her eyes.
Okay.
And then
So, and I should
yeah,
guess.
I'm ready. Yeah, you should guess.
What
Yeah.
part of-
So let's take the topic part of body. So can you see what I'm doing here? I mean the participants, yeah? So that's what I've got. Now I'll ask my partner
Okay. Ready?
what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, open.
Yeah, so what it is.
Oh my goodness. Maybe it's a cheek. No.
Cheek. Oh, not so big cheek.
Not so big.
Your husband doesn't have such a big cheek. So you can use the whole construction. Is it a cheek, for example? No,
Okay.
it is not. So it can be like a drill.
One more
Anything
question.
else? Yeah, sure,
Yeah,
sure.
maybe.
You're
Is
free
it
to
a
ask.
head?
Head. Well, it's quite interesting because
This part, I mean.
yeah, because you saw me doing like this, so it is a head. It's true,
Yes.
head. But when I had the same exercise with my students, the younger ones, the 8 and 9-year-olds, they told me, like, it's not head. And I was at a loss. I tried many options like knee, elbow, and it turned out that they meant hair. They said it's hair. So with children, it's quite an interesting activity, and you can use it. Like, if you have this stuff, you can use it this way for guessing. Children, they like guessing things. And probably the last thing I'd like to show is my own invention. It's a grammar cube. Grammar cube looks like this. It is just 16 words, and by rotation, you get 364 sentences. It's true. Because of rotation, you get this 364 sentences, and I can use it for a duel. So I give one grammar cube to my partner, and I take one more grammar cube for myself. And now I take any sentence. What number?
So you have 364, yes? Yeah. Okay, let it be 123.
123, so let me have a look. And we will compete who is faster. 123. 23, yeah. So the sentence is 123. I hope my camera can grab it. Когда они ели. Когда они ели. When did
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah. Oh, my wife is quicker than me. Okay. It took me some time to take the ГрамИК. So by transforming grammar in some objects, I make grammar not just visualized. Well, if you have Skype lessons, it is great for visual things. But I make it first of all for those kinesthetic students that need to touch things, and I make grammar touchable. And I make grammar not just grammar but sport, because if you compete, like who's faster, we count not just the number of words and the number of right answers. We count seconds, like how many seconds it takes you to make the sentence with the right structure. And again, in Ulyanovsk, I'll bring these games with me, and we will play it like we'll touch grammar literally. And for our stream, I'd like just to show you the structure. I made it in such a way so all the sentences are correct. Like these are question words, and the next one is do, did, will, and modal can, and then I have pronouns, and then I have a verb. So you can rotate it anyhow, and you have any of your sentences correct. So today we have kind of like a little bit random. We spoke of grammar skills, vocabulary skills, different ages, but what unites all the methods I showed is the fact that I try to surprise my students first, and then build on this emotion. When students are surprised, they are not indifferent. A surprised person is never indifferent. Like when you are surprised, it doesn't necessarily mean you're surprised in something you learn. But just the emotion of surprise presupposes that you're not indifferent and you want to learn it. You're like, what is that? You're surprised, and then you really want to learn it. It's a cognitive emotion, and I'm sure each of us knows lots of ways to surprise our students, and I hope we can have an ongoing discussion, not just now, but on the whole, what things we can do at the lesson to surprise our students, because I believe it's a key thing to make students motivated and to make a lesson more effective. Thank you so much for your attention. I'm ready for your questions.
Да, спасибо вам большое, Петр, Ольга. У нас есть вопрос. Where did you get such a mug with word order? Have you tried using it with online students?
Yeah, thank you so much for your question. Well, actually, I produced these stickers myself, but I saw the experiments of my colleagues who made this mug themselves. They just write the words with a marker. An important thing is, probably it's even better if students do it themselves, especially if you have an online lesson. You can ask your students to take any transparent mug and put the words on it. And then you will have this mug as a teacher, and your students will have this mug, and you can do it together. And with online students, it works for sure, because it is not just kinesthetic. When you speak of cubes, it is quite important to touch it. But if you speak of a mug, usually, it's more about visual things. So your students can see it. So they can see it at the real lesson, they can see it online, and actually you can use it as visual aids, and everything that is visual you can use online, definitely. And you can make it yourself, or get the sticker from me, and you'll get about the same results. But you should pour something that is that gives a better contrast, because many teachers start using tea, and tea is not visible enough. It is black on black. But tea is something that all teachers have. but you should have some juice or something that is bright. And you can use it, yeah. And students will still remember it. But if students do it themselves, they will remember it even better, because students remember things they do themselves. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have more questions. Well, can we use this realia with adults?
Yeah, actually, children and adults look at things differently. But when you show, for example, a grammar cube to children, they treat it as a toy. They do the same actions. They rotate, they make sentences, they play like together who's faster, but they treat it as a toy. Surprisingly enough, grown-up learners, they also like it, but they look at it as a model. For them, it's something that is like for architects. When you build a house, first you build it small scale, and you see how it works, and then you build a big house. So the motivation is a bit different. The way of perception is a bit different, but everything I showed you can use with adults. What is different is probably this a fly trick, yeah. But for kids, I don't recommend to tell them the secret, because if they know the secret, they will not use English at all. They like the trick more than English. But when you have even like teenagers, they know for sure that it's a trick. And they will not just repeat it many times. They will try to learn how you do it. They want to know the mechanism. And here you can transform it into speaking activity. You can choose people who have watch and tell them, okay, you can do it. And people who have no watch, you can say, okay, you cannot do it. And they should discuss why some people can do it, some people cannot do it. So you take the same method, but you just look at it from a different angle. But it works in both the edition for children and the edition for their parents. And sometimes I have a lesson, I have lessons with both, like parents plus children. And it's getting more and more popular nowadays. And it's quite interesting to look how they react and how they treat the same thing, the same level, but different age, the parent and the children who come to the lesson. Thank you.
Thank you. Yulia writes us great ideas. And is it possible to use Grammar Cube in more communicative way instead of translation?
Yeah, sure. Actually, translation is the easiest thing, that the first that comes to our minds. But I use it quite often in a communicative way. I ask my students to make a question to the answer. For example, my answer is at home. What should be the question? At home. So where, for example, will you play? At home. So it should be a dialogue, a question and an answer. And many times I had an open class in the clubs and centers, language centers, where it is forbidden to say any word in Russian. And I even told my students that I was not a Russian person. I chose a name like Peterson or any other nickname, and my students believed me and never addressed me in Russian. And we did this kind of thing, an answer from them, an answer from me and the question from them. So it's like a dialogue. For example, if your answer is yes, your question should be like, did they read? You can use it this way also. Yeah. Thank you. My question.
Yes, we have another one question. You've shown us an interesting tool to practice the parts of body. How is this screen called?
Oh, I tried to remember the proper name for it. As far as I remember, it is called игольчатый конструктор. And I also saw one more name for it. In Moscow, I saw a big version of it in Bauman, Sad Baumana. It's in a huge one. But yeah, as far as I remember, it's игольчатый конструктор. Yeah, it can be seen in some gift or souvenir shops.
Shopping centers.
In shopping centers, probably, yeah. Yeah, or needle in English, needle construction. Well, mine is plastic. Sometimes they have this metal, but with kids I prefer plastic because it's softer. But depending on the model, it can have a bit different name.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Петр, Ольга, спасибо вам за такие классные activities. Спасибо, что пришли сегодня к нам. Дорогие зрители, и вам спасибо, что присоединились. Подписывайтесь на наш канал, чтобы не пропускать наши полезные трансляции. А если вы хотите присоединиться к нашей команде Skyeng, то в описании к этой трансляции есть ссылка, по которой вы можете присоединиться. Петр, Ольга, спасибо вам еще раз огромное.
Спасибо. Спасибо
До новых
большое.
встреч.
Будем на связи. До свидания.